Welcome to Data to Decisions. In this video, I'm going to take a list of values, in this case, product categories. And whenever I find a specific value, I want to replace with another string. So this can be useful if you want to replace a certain value with another value in your entire column of values. And I will also show how you can use a default value. So if you find something missing, so if you find a value missing in your source list, how can I replace those blanks with another value, which is a default value across my entire data set. So that's what we're going to do using some simple Excel formulas in this video. Now let's get started. So this is going to be, again, a very simple method that we will use to first change an existing value to a new value. So for example, I'm going to use if D7. So D7 is where our raw data or the original data is. So this is a list of product categories, example I've taken. And whenever I see the value apparel, I want to replace it with clothing. Okay, so I'm going to say D7 equals old value apparel. So I'm not hard coding the text apparel. I want it to be dynamic. So I'm using reference to the cell G4. And whenever we write such formulas, it's good to lock G4 because the old value is always going to be the same one single value of reference. So I'm going to do $G $4 that locks that value. Then I do a comma and say, if I find that, then replace it with clothing. So I will do again lock it by pressing F4. And then now, what if it's not true? What if it's not apparel? Then I don't want the formula to change anything. Give me back books. Books is not apparel. So I want books if it is not apparel. There we go. So now what it's doing is checking whether the value books equals apparel. It's not. So it gives back books. If I drag this formula down, and when there is apparel, you see that it got converted into clothing. So it's a very simple way of finding and replacing values. You can do it through the menu also, but this is doing a formula. So it's more dynamic. So when let's say, for example, if this is apparel, then again, it automatically updates it for us. So it's a very, very convenient way if your data is dynamic and if you want to use it again and again for different sets of data, then doing it by formulas, it's a lot more efficient. Now, this is one part, and you see a zero there, which means that there is no value in that. And when we do the if function, it puts that as zero instead of bringing back as a blank. And so let's do the formula now. If we find a blank, then replace it with the default value, like unknown category or miscellaneous or whatever, right? So let me try that. So if D7 equals blank, then fill it with the default value. And again, you can hard code the text like unknown. That's one way to do it. But if you want it to be dynamic, where I can change the default value, or you want to give the user, if you're building this and giving it to a customer of yours or a client of yours, then you could make this dynamic by doing what I'm doing, by selecting the cell, lock, very important, comma, what if it's not blank? Then I can say if this equals the old value, F4, comma, then replace it with the new value, F4, comma. What if it's not? Then I go back to my original value, D7, and then close that if. We have two if functions. So two close parentheses, hit enter. Now what happens is when I drag this on, in the row number 12 here, where there is a blank, it returns the unknown. So this formula can handle both replacing blanks with the default value as well as converting an old value into a new value if it finds it. So it's does both things in this formula. Now let's test it. So for example, instead of unknown, I want it to be miscellaneous, and you see instantly you get miscellaneous. And similarly, if I wanted to change movies into entertainment, for example, I go movies and then I type in entertainment, and now you saw movies got converted into entertainment. Again, this is a simple scenario where you only want to replace one value with another and then have a default value. In the future, I will do another video where you can actually replace a complete list of values with another list of values instead of doing one by one. But hopefully this gives you a direction on how we approach find and replace or replace the nulls using simple Excel formulas. If you have any better method to suggest doing the same, please do so. I look forward to learning from you. If you have any suggestions for other topics on this channel, please post them in the comments and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon in another video.